Kaya, Wanju. Hello and welcome. This acknowledgement pays respect to the traditional custodians, ancestors and continuing cultural, spiritual and religious practices of Noongar elders. Further, it provides an increasing awareness and recognition of Australian Aboriginal peoples and culture. The Welcome to Country is an acknowledgement and recognition of the rights of the Noongar peoples. The act of getting a representative who has traditional local links to particular places, areas and religion is an acknowledgement of respect for traditional owners. Ngalak Jurpin Wanju Nanak Ngala Noongar Budja. I am pleased to welcome you into our Noongar country. Nitcha Ngala Murat Budja Kura Kura. This is our ancestors' land from the dream time. Nitcha Ngala Kala Budja Kura Wanging Ngani Ngala. This is our homeland of history. Jurpin Murat Ngala Budja Kura Wanging Kedala. And as one, we are a proud people of our land. Ngala Yanking Ngalak Noongar Nyikiang Ngalak Ngalak Kanyini. Through history till today, we stand together, black and white. We are one. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Headley. We would also like to acknowledge that there is a huge access gap for First Nations people on the NDIS. These cuts may well make that worse. If the NDIS is Australia's pride, that gap is Australia's shame. We also stand with our elders in their similar struggle against the austerity measures imposed on the aged care system. Next up, I would like to invite Kareen. Kareen is a disabled First Nations elder. Please welcome them to the stage.
Kaya Wanju Ngang Bibumanyoga Karina Abraham. I'm happy to be here today. Never mind, I wasn't officially invited, but I'm happy to be here today and stand here in solidarity and unity with everyone today because, you know, being black and disabled, we get the double whammy because we're black in our country and we get, you know, the racial discrimination. And when you're disabled, the discrimination that comes with that, we face double whammy as a black person in our country with a disability. I'm suffering now. I'm a double amputee. As you can see, I have no left hand, got multiple digits on my right hand gone, my left leg amputated, my right foot's basically gone, basically wheelchair bounded. And yet, I still had to prove to NDIS, as of up to November last year, how disabled I was. They still said I could still do things for myself. I didn't need active overnight care, I didn't need no full care. no full-time care support workers. You know, being in Fiona Stanley Hospital, the OT and the physio even stated in their reports that I could still do things myself, that I didn't need the active overnight support services that I was fighting for. I've been fighting for 4 years, or 5 years before that. You know, my husband ended up walking out because of the stress of what it's like looking after someone who's disabled when you've got no service providers or no support services or no support coordinators doing the right thing for us who are disabled. I worked many years in my younger years. I'm only young, 94, 49 years of age this year, 50 next year, but I'm an elder in my immediate family. I've lost all my family, my immediate family, my mum, my younger sisters and my grandparents. My father's still living, but I don't get to see my dad. But even he's got disabilities now that he faces as an elder. But I'm an elder in my immediate family, my mum's side. And this is my country. I'm a Bibbulmun. I'm a Wajak Bibbulmun. But I cover a lot of Noongar country. My blood runs right up to Yinjbari and right through to Wongatha country, Kalgoorlie, that way. I come from large families. My families extend on my mum and my father's side. So I cover a large part of our state. And I've worked in many of the government departments, the three main government departments, health, justice and welfare. As a senior child protection officer, as a prison support officer at Hakea Men's Maximum Prison, and in health as a liaison officer for Fremantle Hospital and Health Services. When I worked in there, I was working and assisting in the disability sector and our communities, but now I'm a part of this sector. And you see so many gaps, still so many gaps. And I'm speaking 20 years ago I worked in health, and there's still the gaps that I talked about back then. We've still got the same struggles today. The workers have changed, but the struggles are still the same. And they're still just reinventing the wheel. When will things change? My people are dying, I'm dying. I've told them to hold off my dialysis till 2:30 today so I can rush back for dialysis today. I do 4 times a week dialysis during the week, 4 times. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays. And yet, I still can't get my home hemodialysis reinstated. I used to do it myself when I had my own hands and fingers. But now I've got nothing. And you still got to fight to this bloody government to give us the basic supports, what we need in life to keep living. I'm going to be a grandmother soon. My daughter, I've got 2 beautiful kids. My daughter is going to have a granddaughter for me. But I stress every day in my life, will I be around? Will I be around so she can grow up, so I can learn her my culture, learn her our ways, how our culture is and how strong it is, how beautiful it is, And this is what government don't want, because they're trying to kill me at Fiona Stanley Hospital. I've screamed out to every minister for help, both state, federal, you name it, I've screamed out, I've called out to them, I've emailed them. Still not much help. You don't get the help you need as a disabled black woman. As a disabled black woman, I'm educated, I've got a degree in Indigenous Community Management Development, graduating at Curtin University. Still having a tertiary qualification isn't good enough. Knowing my health needs isn't good enough for this government, Like I've called out to Roger Cook. Where's Roger Cook? Is he here today with us? Is he? Where are you, Roger Cook? Are you off your quan? Get off your quan and come here and stand with us. Those that know our Noongar language, they'll know exactly what I'm saying. I thank you, Brother Jordan, for bringing this together. I met Jordan many years ago when I stood up and brought our community together doing our Invasion Day Change the Date rally after I stood up in the Fremantle Council and changed that date, the 26th of January, what it meant for us Indigenous people, us First Nations people around the country. And yet, we're still struggling. We don't need that voice, how they want to put the voice, government implemented their voice. We want our voices heard already. We've already got our voices. You heard Uncle Henley here today stand up and talk. He's a voice, I've had my voice many times. We've had other Noongar voices, other Aboriginal people right throughout our country stand up. We've got the voices already, but yet Parliament, They still don't include us. We're not included. I'm not included. We've had a voice to what happened on Invasion Day this year, and yet I'm the inaugural organiser of that event. But was I included? No. When you're disabled, nowadays, and because I can't get around much, they don't include me, which is really sad. And that's also sad because that's from my own people as well. So we get double whammy either way, whether it's the blackfella community or the white man community. And right now it's government, because Anthony Albanese isn't listening to us. You know, he's not listening to us. And we need to make, the other thing before I go, because we only got 5 minutes, and I could stand here all day and talk about this issue. And, you know, because it's hard, you know, with what we got to face, with what we got to do. I've lost the basic things in life. I've got my uncle Warren Yorkshire here today too, somewhere here with us. He's an amputee as well, but yet he's still got to face the struggles that he faces. And still no one listens to his voice. You know, he's lucky he gets to some of the meetings, because what they do to me, they make the meetings at a time that I have dialysis or a time that I can't make it. But today I made sure I got here. I put my dialysis off, my life treatment that gives me life, I put that off to come here and stand and speak and have my voice heard. I wish it was on a Sunday, because I wouldn't have had to shorten my dialysis. And then I could have stood and spoke all day, and could have stayed all day and walked and marched with everyone here. Because I've got to leave at 2 o'clock and get back to that hospital to hook up to a machine to keep me alive. And then I've got to put up with the disrespectful nurses in that hospital. Not all nurses, only some nurses. But you know, it's about coming together and making sure Anthony Albanese, Roger Cook, those that make those decisions, and those decisions that affect our lives as disabled people. NDIS is up shit creek, I say. They're up shit creek with that paddle. They need another paddle, you know, because they're still not listening. There's no consistency, no consistency whatsoever. They have told me that, basically they've told me last year that I wasn't disabled enough to get the services I required. Never mind I didn't have a leg, never mind I got no hands, got no eyes, because I'm legally blind in one eye. My vision's now gone in the other eye. And, you know, and I'm struggling. But I keep my head above water, I keep my spirit strong. My spirit strong as a black Bibbulmun Yorga, because you got to, otherwise they'll kill us. They'll kill us. Because that's what NDIS does. It's killing you mentally, because they don't listen. They're not listening to us. They're not listening to our voices. You know, what we need. I know at the moment they're going to start shortening my package, and I just only had my proper package put in place, you know, because I had to fight myself. I had support coordinators there that didn't do their job as well. I'm lucky now I've got a beautiful coordinator, my level 3, Giselle. She's here today as well to come and stand with us, you know. Like, we need support coordinators that are there, that do our plans properly. Don't just be there for the job. We need OTs to be there for their heart, and you know, be there for their heart and to help us, not be there for that dollar, that money, because we got to pay an OT $180 something an hour to come and do a job for us, you know. Okay, my 5 minutes up, people, but I love you all, and it's great to see, you know, I can't see, but I can see shadows out there. To see everyone here, you know, beautiful turnout, and thank you, Brother Jordan. But let's keep standing up, because they're not going to stop. NDIS is not going to stop, and they're not going to change. We're going to keep fighting that fight to make changes for us who are affected, because we ain't got money coming out of our asses to pay for the services that we need. I wish I did, because I wouldn't have to worry, but I don't have that money. So yeah, we've got to keep shouting, we've got to keep standing up, so we can get what we need to keep living.
Thank you so much, Corinne. Okay, next up we have, I'm going to butcher your last name, Isabella Choate, pronounced like Bode, Choate. Isabella is a proud disabled person, a living experience advocate, former WA Young Person of the Year, ambassador for International Day of People with Disabilities, and CEO of the Youth Disability Advocacy Network. Please welcome Isabella.
Thank you, Nova. Disabled people WA, to the Spoonies, the Crips and physically disabled, the MAD, the deaf and hard of hearing, the blind community, the neurodivergents, those with sensory disabilities, those with intellectual disabilities, those undiagnosed, to all disabled people, thank you. Thank you for the last minute support arrangements, the rearrangements, the energy and the spoons it took to get here. To our disabled people online, unable to be with us today due to access, capacity or commitments, thank you for joining us in solidarity. To our families, carers and supporters, thank you for standing alongside us. When I started putting pen to paper, I was overcome with the intense emotions that have been boiling for the past weeks, months and years as we've watched our support systems be dismantled in real time whilst our community gets dragged through the mud. I felt the deep fury, the anger and the disabled rage at the rhetoric telling us that we are burdens, financial costs rather than humans. The disgust at the government spending $500,000 testing the appropriate language to ensure that the public is on board with these cuts, so-called communications testing that showed that they should talk about rorts and avoid using the words cut, harm, neglect and death. I feel the deep betrayal of the government telling us nothing about us without us while decimating our community's survival. I also feel mourning and grief for our young people growing up, deserving of being young, but instead told that they don't belong. I mourn the community members that we have lost and those that we will lose thanks to these proposed cuts. I mourn for the exhaustion, the overwhelm and the distress felt across our community, not only by us disabled people, but also by our loved ones. As I sat with these feelings, I kept coming back to community, to the quiet moments of disabled joy, being in spaces where we truly belong, where, despite at times competing access needs, we are patient with each other. We ask each other what we need, not just to exist, but to live meaningful lives. This is our way forward. Over the coming months and years, we will be pitted against each other. We will have to fight for our survival. I implore you all to remember that we are stronger together, that we all deserve meaningful lives. More than ever, we must lean into the principles of disability justice, intersectionality, leadership of those most impacted, interdependence, access for all, and cross-disability solidarity, because a threat to disability is a threat to all of us. Statistics show that 20% of Australians live with disability. I believe it's more. If we lean into community, leave no one behind, we will be a force to be reckoned with. So as we journey together, remember care and kindness. Remember all of our living experiences are valuable. Remember that you are not alone. Celebrate the moments of disabled joy. At the Youth Disability Advocacy Network, we exist to ensure that the voices of young disabled people are included in the conversations and decisions that impact our lives. As a recently not young person, I would like to share some words from our members. The first message is from Lane. Lane, thank you for joining us online today. Hearing about cuts, especially for myself and disabled friends, is disheartening. As a scheme participant, I appreciate being a client, yet it's clear that so much needs to change in the system's understanding of disabilities. While I recognise the pressures, overworked NDIS staff and overwhelmed providers, a deeper structural issue persists. There's no exact number of unregistered providers, but I see many small businesses and sole traders struggling to survive if these cuts go through. Conversations with my team confirm that these changes directly threaten their viability. It's clear that unregistered providers make up a significant part of the NDIS landscape. This was never meant to become a privatised scheme, And since it was privatised, it's been slashing funding and declining in the number of people it was meant to serve. Many disabled friends have either been denied access or are not willing to take up 6 months of unpaid time off work to get the documents and paperwork they need for someone on the NDIS to say yes or no. I see the scheme as something which is no longer designed and built for disabled people and with disabled people in mind. Thank you, Lane. This next message is from Lily. I'm Lily Galton, a 12-year-old living with autism, cerebral palsy, and medical conditions. I have been on the NDIS for most of my life and it has been crucial to my development. The NDIS has helped me overcome barriers throughout my life and has heavily shaped the person that I am today. Without the NDIS, I would not have been able to learn important social skills through the help of an OT. Through the NDIS, I have also been able to receive support from a physical therapist, which has helped me face physical barriers and build up my strength, muscles, and balance. Losing access to the NDIS will mean it will become incredibly hard for me to receive funding and support in order to have OT and physio. This hardness could lead to problems such as physical complications due to the potential lack of physio. Even now, the NDIS plays a huge role in my life, and losing the access I have to the NDIS will cause severe problems. But it's not just me. Many people will lose support that is essential to their life, and yet despite this, they are still being forced off the NDIS, despite the negative impact it will have. And finally, I would like to introduce Josh, a White Own board member, to join me up here. Please welcome Josh.
As Izzy said, my name's Josh. I'm an advocate and board member of the Youth Disability Advocacy Network. And when I was diagnosed with autism at 11 years old, I started on the NDIS pretty quickly. Its capacity building supports helped me get through school, enroll in university now, learn life skills and enable participation in the community. These supports from the NDIS helped put me in a position to actually understand my identity. And I'm grateful for this, because having pride in my identity as a disabled person is the most valuable thing I know. Understanding myself was a long and complicated mental journey throughout childhood and throughout my teenage years. I didn't understand my incredibly poor mental health frequently and why everything was incredibly overwhelming. Also, I didn't understand why I felt so different to everyone else. Going through this journey was very difficult in the context of school and the casual ableism that comes from kids who simply don't know better. So I would be in a much worse place now without the NDIS, and I know that's the case for every person here, all in a different way. And now we hear that Mark Butler is wrecking the lives of people on the NDIS. During the announcement, he had the gall to say nothing about us without us. Well, I have a message for him. We didn't ask for this life-changing scheme to be slashed so suddenly. I'm angry and upset. Rightfully, the focus is on the fact that cuts to the NDIS will kill, but there is another impact. These cuts take a burning wrecking ball to the future and self-perception of thousands of young disabled and autistic kids. Kids who will grow up in an unsupported world, who need both us as a community and support from the NDIS. We are fighting for us and for these kids. We've shown up today both in person and online, and we have told the government loud and clear that we are not an easy target as a community and that we will fight these cuts. Thank you.
That'll probably help. Thank you, Isabella, and I'm so sorry I've missed the name of the Josh. So two quick things. First, the wonderful marshals have cleared the way to the accessibility toilet, so now anyone, regardless of your access link, should be able to use the bathrooms in the bar. And I've lost my space in the speech. Yes, okay. It would be lovely to announce that there has been widespread union solidarity against these cuts. Because disability rights are in workers' interests, disability rights are union business. But union support has been limited to those unions who have severed ties with the austerity Labour Party, like Professionals Australia. Support from the incumbent bureaucracy in the United Workers Union, who represent many support workers, has been sorely lacking. Fortunately, members of that union have been sounding the alarm, and the members first group within the union have thrown their weight behind us. Please welcome to the stage Colin Strider. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Hello. It's really great to be here today, but firstly I want to thank each and every one of you for making the time to be here to show your support for Australians who are currently on the NDIS. The NDIS was rolled out between July 2013 and July 2020. That took 7 years. 7 years to investigate discrepancies, find the problems, sort them out. But here we are 13 years later, and I think the NDIS is in a bigger mess than it's ever been. The whole purpose of the NDIS was to provide individualised funding for people with a disability just so they could access the community and live a normal life. We have a term in the sector that we use, normalisation. This refers to the rights of people with a disability to be able to live a life that is as close as possible to the normal routines, rhythms and circumstances of the general public. We have another term that we use in the industry. We seem to have stopped using it lately, which is a bit disappointing. Social role valorisation. This term refers to the framework that allows people with disability to get the support they need to access mainstream media, and we also talk. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. The marginalised people, when given the opportunity to access the community, can perform valued social roles. I'm talking about things like being an employee, being a customer, being a member of a social club, being a member of a sporting club, being a voter, being a blood donor. All of the roles that we value as a society, people with disabilities have the right to be able to perform those roles as well. And when we allow them access to the community, they can do these things. You might think it was a little bit skew-if for me to mention blood donors, but I wanted to mention it because I used to work with a man who had intellectual disability, and one day before work I'd had given blood, so he noticed the band-aid on my arm and said to me, asked me to explain what it was all about. And when I told him that my blood was eventually going to be used by someone who was very sick or very seriously injured, and then the first thing he said to me was, I could be a blood donor. And my little brain went ping. Here's an opportunity for, let's just call him Cole, for Cole to perform a valued social role. So I made an appointment, took him along to the blood bank, and for anyone who has never given blood, when you get to the first thing that happens is you go into an office and have an interview with a nurse. She asks you some questions about your lifestyle, and then, all being well, you can sign a declaration and then you're okay to give blood. Well, after a few minutes, Colin and the nurse came out, and the nurse said to me, he's not a suitable person to give blood. Now, I had a look at his face, and he was just absolutely, I just can't describe to you what the look on his face. So I said to the nurse, could we just try this again? Could I come in and could I advocate for him? So she agreed to that, and I went into the room, we were able to sign the declaration, and he was able to give blood. Now that doesn't sound like a big deal, but for Colin, it was huge. He had a smile from ear to ear for at least a week. He carried around his blood donor card, and he showed it to everyone he knew, and everyone he didn't know, and more than once. And it really was a valuable exercise. And as disability support workers, we love seeing these things. We love seeing our people have the opportunity for normalisation, social role valorisation, and the ability to have some say about the people who are providing their service. When the scheme came into operation, we all embraced it. But unfortunately, our expectations were not met. NDIS providers have found numerous ways to corrupt the system. We have them padding bills, we have them having fictional participants. There's even talk of organised crime involvement. So when you have these things, of course the costs are going to blow out. And so when the cost of we're talking a lot of money here. We're talking 8 billion or 8.3% of the NDIS budget annually. That's a lot of money. And when you consider that a lot of this money is being invoiced and paid on behalf of participants without their knowledge. They're not even aware of what we're spending their money on. And okay, yeah, right. All right. I just want to remind you of a horrific story, but I think it's important that we all remember what can go wrong. We all remember the shocking story of Anne-Marie Smith. She was a 54-year-old woman living with cerebral palsy in South Australia. Now, she was supposed to be having around-the-clock care, but she was found deceased in April 2020 in a wicker chair. I can tell you that one of her carers was jailed, and 2 of the directors of the company that was supporting her were charged and pleaded not guilty. I actually don't know the outcome for them, but I do know that Anne-Marie is still dead. And I just want everybody to stop and think for a minute what Anne-Marie's life must have been like. Just think about her last few months leading up to her death, what pain she must have gone through, and to die alone in a wicker chair, it absolutely disgusts me. And the worst thing is, this is a woman that was supposed to have 24-hour care, and this could happen to her. Can you imagine what's going to happen to people who have no support at all? So basically my main message today that I want to say is that I've been doing a lot of work for Palestine, and we're going nowhere fast. What really needs to happen is we need to get unions behind the NDIS and the NDIS scheme. All the unions need to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, and send a clear message to Mark Butler that the answer is no. No cuts to the NDIS.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kant Johns, CEO of People with Disabilities Australia. Kant is an autistic self-advocate and is here to stand against the cuts with the whole community. Thank you, Kat. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also wanted to thank and acknowledge all the people with disabilities that have come out today and And also thank you to DJ Incredible in particular for that really great set earlier. That was really amazing. Thank you so much. So the government did two things. They overestimated the trajectory and the problems on the scheme, but more importantly, they underestimated us and how hard that we're going to fight to protect our NDIS. We are here for our community. We're in solidarity together. They overestimated the average taxpayer and how much they would buy into this, because you know what, despite all the propaganda, most taxpayers I know still really care about the disability community. They're not turning their back on us. They overestimated the extent that our loved ones and our allies would ignore our tears. But they underestimated how effectively and acutely our community is going to come out and fight for our NDIS. They overestimated the passivity of our ability to organise and mobilise, because they think that we're weak and they don't think that we're going to stand up for our rights. And we're here to show them that they are very, very wrong. They underestimated the ability of the most effective advocates in the world. The fact that we got this scheme in the first place is because we have the best advocates, and they're all out today in this National Day of Action. We know how to fight, and all we've actually ever done, most of us, for all of our lives, is fight and fight and fight. And so we know how to do this. It's not a stranger to us. And we will. The state government also, I don't know, like I was at Parliament House the other day when the budget was delivered. I know there's a couple of bits and pieces in there that weren't talked about during the delivery, but, you know, not much. And also, we weren't mentioned during that whole delivery. It was almost like, oh, we don't want to even acknowledge. It's almost like the acknowledgement of our community was just completely gone. It was very disappointing. But we have a short window of time before this bill's introduced, and you know, I think now is the time that we need to be mobilising, organising, speaking to all our allies, speaking to any organisation that is willing to join us. We need to come together real fast and prevent this bill from going through. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kat. The next speaker we have today is Mai. Mai is just a member of our community. They don't represent any organisation. They're just here to talk about their experiences as a disabled person who uses the NDIS and works on the other side of the system as a support worker as well. So I don't know where Mai is. Oh, behind me. So please welcome to the stage, Mai.
Good afternoon, Bolu. Good afternoon, Bolu. I stand here today both as an NDIS participant and a support worker. I see this system from both sides, and I can tell you clearly it works. And that's exactly why these proposed cuts are so concerning. Because the NDIS is not a luxury, it's the difference between isolation and inclusion, between surviving and actually living. I know that because I've lived it. There was a time in my life when I was dysregulated with my neurodivergency, suffering from my mood disorder and recovering from addiction to the stage of dysfunction. I was isolated, struggling, my world was small. Work felt impossible, study felt impossible, a future felt uncertain. But the NDIS changed that. And with the right support, I rebuilt my life step by step. Today I'm a sole trader working as a support worker. And I contribute to the economy. I support others on their journey, and I'm about to begin studying psychology. That didn't happen despite of the NDIS, it happened because of it. And my story is not unique. Every day I see people, especially those with psychosocial disabilities, building independence, finding purpose and participating in their communities because they have the right support. That's why it's so important. We need to say clearly we must keep not cut the NDIS, because without that support, people don't just lose services, they use stability, safety, and in many cases the ability to participate in society at all. Cuts harm people. They take away therapy, they take away trusted support workers, and most importantly, they take away choice and control. And when you remove choice and control, you don't just change a system, you take away dignity. Disabled people deserve dignity. They deserve ordinary lives, not to be framed as living in luxury for having our basic needs met. Let's be clear that NDIS benefits us all. It creates jobs, it supports workers like me. It enables people to contribute to the economy rather than being locked out of it. This is not a cost to cut, it's an investment to protect. So we have to ask, what kind of society do we want to be? One that cuts off people when they need support, or one that stands behind them and sees what they're capable of? The NDIS represents something bigger than a budget line. It represents fairness, it represents dignity, it represents the belief that everyone deserves a chance. My life is proof of what happens when that belief is backed by real support. So today, we say clearly, protect the NDIS, protect the people it supports, protect the dignity it provides, protect the futures it makes possible. Please, I beg of you, liberate people through kindness and compassion, and please support each other through this hard time of uncertainty with solidarity, empathy and support. Thank you everyone that supports this cause, whether you are attending or not. I love and truly appreciate you all, and remember, disability rights matter.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker is Sam Wainwright. Wainwright wears a lot of hats. Today he is here as a representative of Stop AUKUS WA. Stop AUKUS organises actions to oppose Australia's ties with the US empire, the crown jewel of which is the $368 billion nuclear-powered submarine, and yet they say they don't have money for the NDIS. When the government announced a budget, they are showing their priorities, and they cut the NDIS at the same time as announcing more and more frivolous spending on defence. They are prioritising an aggressive posture towards China, Australia's strongest trading partner, above the rights of people with disabilities. Please welcome to the stage, Sam Wainwright.
Thanks so much, Nova, and thanks everyone for being here. I'm not sure if Nova mentioned that I'm a disability support worker, have been since 2011.
You're very right that it has been a bit of an oversight in the organising, and we as the organisers will commit to meeting with the Indigenous people who came along today and anyone else to make sure that their voices are put forward first and foremost in future organising on this issue. I'll give the mic back to Sam now.
Thanks, Nova, and thanks, Auntie Karina. For me, as a disability support worker, if these cuts go through, it'll be disruptive, but I'll probably be able to find other work. But for people facing the anxiety of losing their support now, I just can't imagine just how overwhelming that is. And there's two things about these cuts I think we should really bear in mind. First, is this constitutes probably one of the biggest cuts to social spending in Australia's history. The second thing is by explicitly saying that they want to target for the cutbacks, community access, social inclusion, the federal government is effectively returning to the medical model of disability, which is precisely the thing that people fought against. Now you might be wondering, okay, what's the connection between AUKUS and cuts to the NDIS? And I'll come to that in a moment, but bear with me while I give you a couple of figures. AUKUS, as you know, is over $368 billion over 30 years. Just to get your head around how much money that is, that's equivalent to $33 to $35 million per day for submarines that may be defunct or may never even arrive, and that us in Stop AUKUS say we don't even need. And it comes in the context of a massive increase in defence, so-called defence spending. The federal government has also said they want to increase defence spending by $53 billion over the next 10 years, lifting it to 3%, and Donald Trump is pushing the Australian government to lift our defence spending to 3.5%. So when they say that they haven't got the money for the NDS, we say bullshit. But look at look at other sectors of the budget. So a 25% tax on gas exports, has been discussed recently, would raise about $17 billion per year. That's only a 25% tax. Norway taxes its gas and oil exports at 78%. Qatar, which exports about the same amount of gas as Australia and owns the industry from top to bottom, earns between $85 and $115 billion per year. So even if you don't agree with me on the question of gas, or the question of AUKUS, or the question of landlords being able to access negative gearing, the important point I want to emphasise is this, is a budget is a choice. You don't just consider one thing in isolation and say, oh, NDIS is costing too much, we can't afford it anymore. No, let's open the whole package and look at what are our priorities for our community as a society. We talk about control and choice. Well, the federal government has control and choice with this budget, and they are making a conscious choice to cut back the NDIS and to put money towards other things. That's the reality. Now, when we go on our offensive to say, no, hands off the NDIS, of course we accept that it could be better, that it's not a perfect system. I think we really want to get rid of some of the corporate sharks in the NDIS, and I don't like the corporate language. It's just a personal thing. Some people have a different attitude to it. I really hate calling people clients. If you call people clients, that's fine, but I'm just saying that whole idea of, no, hang on, this is a public service for public good that all of us will benefit from one day. All of us will have a disability one day if we don't now. And I've got a friend and she likes to say, I'm not a client, I'm a citizen with rights. And that's right. You are citizens with rights and we're going to fight like hell for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Last but certainly not least, our last, actually just before I introduce you, Jordan, it's occurred to me that I neglected to mention and thank the DJ who played the music before the rally started today. That was DJ, who's the DJ? DJ Incredible. So everyone give a big thank you to DJ Incredible. And with that done, last but certainly not least, our last speaker is Jordan Steely-John. I'm sure he needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Steely-John is Western Australia's Senator for the Greens and the party's spokesperson for the NDIS. He is the only wheelchair user in the Australian Parliament. Whenever we hear him speak, we know how much the disabled community means to him. Please welcome to the stage, Jordan Steely-John.
2 seconds while we adjust the mic, folks. There we go. All right. No, this is perfect. Thank you so much, Nova. My name is Jordan Steele-John. I am the Greens Senator for Western Australia and the party spokesperson for disability and for the NDIS. It is an honour and a privilege to be here today among this fabulous group of people on unceded Whadjuk Noongar land, and I want to pay respect to elders past and present and acknowledge that sovereignty over this land has never been ceded. As we work to build a disability rights movement, as we work to build the movement of disability justice, we must always remember that these struggles are interlinked, are fundamentally connected with these struggles for First Nations justice and truth and healing. It is a wonderful thing to be here this afternoon as part of this National Day of Action to defend our NDIS and to say no to the cuts and to the broken promises of this Labor government. As disabled people, as family members and as allies and friends, we know what the NDIS means to us. It is more than just a system of bureaucracy, although bureaucracy there always seems to be. It is more than just a service to provide supports. It is more than just a network of service providers and of affiliates and companies. The NDIS at its core is the promise of justice for disabled people. It is the mechanism by which we have been able, across these 10 years, to be able to access those supports and services that we need to live a life of dignity and of fulfillment. The NDIS means that we are able to get out of bed in the morning, able to meet up with our friends, able to come to events like this and protest, able to work, able to contribute to our communities. We established it together as disabled people. Collectively, we fought the systems of segregation and of institutionalisation which for so long had kept us shut up and shut in. And we established for ourselves a programme at the centre of which was a promise that government would work with us, would share power, would enable us to choose the services and supports that work for us, that are right for us, that we need. And ever since it was created, there have been those who have hated sharing that power with disabled people and have desperately attempted to claw it back. And in this announcement from this government, in these cuts, we see the latest attempt to strip away our supports, to cut those services that we rely on, to remove our ability to be out in our communities, and to send us back inside. Well, we are rallying here today as part of a National Day of Action that stretches across our state from here in Boorloo, Perth, all the way up to Tom Price, and across to every capital city in this ancient continent of Australia to raise our voices as one and say, we will not go back inside, we will not be shut up. We are here as a disabled community, we are proud and we are powerful. Now this government believes that it can target us as disabled people, it can target our families, because we are an easy target. They believe that they can strip away our supports and we won't be able to do anything about it. Well, these gatherings here today are just the first example of how wrong they are. These people in positions of power have taken language around fraud and neglect and abuse and attempted to turn it against us, when we know that as disabled people, we are the ones that care about fraud the most, because it is us who suffer when there is fraud. It's our services who are cut. It's our supports who are stripped away. And under the cover of this language of frauds and rorts, what are they doing? Making plans to kick 160,000 of us at least off the scheme and cut out $35.7 billion. Shame on Labor. And they also say to us, well, don't worry, there's supports that you can go to that aren't in the NDIS. When we know here in WA and across the country, those supports do not exist. Those supports were closed down by the very politicians that are now advocating for these changes. And so what they propose to do is to simply rip us away from the NDIS and chuck us off a cliff. Well, we will not go. And we are not helpless in front of these decisions. We are voters, we are community members, we have the power of our voices and of our collective presence. And as a member of the Australian Greens, I am proud to be able to share with you all that when Parliament comes back together next week, I will introduce an amendment alongside my Greens colleagues to strip the NDIS cuts from the budget and prevent them from proceeding. My friends, my colleagues, my comrades, there is hope, and we are that hope. Together, united, as one community, guided by the principles of disability justice, we will push back this government. We will protect our NDIS, and we will create a society and a community that is accessible and inclusive for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. So, we're about to have DJ Incredible play out the end of the rally, and I've got a little bit to say just before that, but I am announcing that DJ Incredible will be playing just so anyone who can't cope with a potentially quite noisy environment has the opportunity to leave if that's what they need to do before the DJ comes out. So I printed off these flyers. They link to the harm tracker, the NDIS cuts harm tracker. It's a brilliant initiative that's been set up by two organisations, one being the Australian Neurodivergent Parents, something or other, and another. I only saw the one logo, so I put the wrong logo on the flyers. They were meant to be at the information stall. I will make sure they get to that stall in just a second. We have stickers too. I figured stickers would be a good idea so that they don't just disappear, and you can keep it on your sticker, on your fridge, and then when something happens that you need to report, you can report that harm. And if we keep those stories coming in and make sure that we're not made invisible, that the harm that is done to us through these cards is shared, then we can use that to advocate for reversing these cards. And with that said, I'd like to invite DJ Incredible to play out the rally.